Allow yourself to go deeper. In the next section, I will reveal the first secret. Why is bold vulnerability, courageous rawness, the most magnetic energy to evolve men? And more importantly, how can you awaken it without changing anything external, only by truly touching yourself from within? If you're ready, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any part of the video series. RT 8. Sacred Bad Habits. Each part is a gateway of initiation, guiding you back to the primordial goddess within you. There's a paradox that few dare to face. We long to be deeply loved, yet we live behind masks. This contradiction is why millions of grown, intelligent, experienced women feel that even though they've done everything right, they still can't truly connect with a man on a soul-deep level. Carl Jung called this inner territory the shadow. But unlike Freud, who saw it as a dark force to be controlled, Jung viewed the shadow as a seat of divinity in exile. And for a woman, this shadow contains eros, the raw life force, sensuality, honesty, and wild emotion we've been taught to suppress. What is bold vulnerability? Bold vulnerability isn't cute weakness. It's not a strategy of pouting or pretending to be natural. It's a spiritual act, the courage to reveal who you truly are without armor. To look a man in the eye and say, "This is what I want. This is what I long for. This is my fire." No games, no sugarcoating, no waiting for him to guess. And when this happens, not only do your lips tremble, but a man's unconscious awakens as if an ancient signal has been summoned through his bloodstream. True attraction doesn't come from youth, but from depth. Jung found in the dreams of his female patients that the most magnetic sensual energy didn't come from toned bodies, but from an invisible field, a place where the shadow has been integrated. He called this magnetic eros an irresistible pull that cannot be explained, doesn't need to be shown off, but draws the soul in. Would you dare to drop the mask just once, to speak not to seduce, but to reveal your soul? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if this resonated with your inner fire. At some point in her life, every woman is taught, put others first, especially in love. It sounds noble, but if we dig into the unconscious layers, Carl Jung saw the hidden danger. The woman loses connection with the needs of her soul and starts living someone else's life. Even worse, her feminine energy, the primal source of creation, is cut off. Jung didn't use the word selfishness negatively. For him, placing yourself at the center, if done from the soul, is a sacred act. It's when you stop waiting for someone to guide you and become the ritual leader of your own life. Sacred selfishness, a soul rebellion. Imagine you are a flame, but for years you've been taught to dim yourself so you wouldn't burn others. You learn to suppress what you want. You convince yourself, this is enough, I'm okay, as long as he's happy. Then, like many women I've seen in therapy, you suddenly realize you're physically here, but your life force has checked out. Jung called this alienation from the self. Sacred selfishness isn't rejecting love. It's restoring the flow of energy that's been blocked for decades by finally listening to your own desires, pleasures, and rhythms. The transformation. When a woman leads the dance. In many ancient cultures, women were not just nurturers, they were initiators. When a woman reclaims her sacred selfishness, she doesn't become difficult, she becomes clear, radiant, unmistakably alive. She stops being the support act and becomes the main character in her own myth. What's one thing your soul has been whispering, but you've been ignoring? Let it be seen in the comments. And if you're feeling this awakening, hit subscribe and continue the journey. In a society where beauty is boxed into filters, apps, and flawless lipstick, there's one act that feels almost rebellious. A woman looks at her aging body and says, I am beautiful exactly as I am. Carl Jung believed that true beauty was never perfect. In the dreams and myths he studied, the goddess was never a cover girl. She had wrinkles, scars, soulful eyes, and a presence that silenced rooms. Jung once said, beauty without depth is an illusion. It does not stir the soul. When women learn to love their aging bodies, why do so many women fear aging? not just because of sagging skin or silver hair, but because they fear no longer being seen. From girlhood, they were taught their worth lies in being young, slim, and innocent. So every wrinkle feels like a sentence. But Jung, through thousands of therapy cases, observed this. The women who had faced the darkness lived through heartbreak and embraced their scars. They glowed with a kind of light he called the light of the shadow. It's a radiance not born of youth, but of deep reconciliation with oneself. The spiritual symbol of the imperfect body. In Greek mythology, there is Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty. But in her earliest forms, Aphrodite was not a perfect girl. She was born from sea foam, shapeless, raw, untamed. She wasn't adored for flawlessness, but for the wild, sacred mystery she embodied. And perhaps this is the truth we've forgotten. The body that has lived broken, bled, birthed, healed is not less beautiful. It's holy ground. When was the last time you said to yourself, I am enough right now as I am? Let this space be your altar. Share, reflect, or just read and feel. If this resonates, subscribe for more soul-deep awakenings. There's something more magnetic than sex appeal beyond looks or skill. It's the power of full presence when a woman stops trying to get it right and becomes a living embodiment of awakening. Carl Jung noticed this in women who had walked through personal crises. They no longer rushed or hesitated. They had a way of touching others that made time pause. He called this state the numinous feminine. Why is presence so deeply attractive? In a world of multitasking, distractions, masks, and autopilot behaviors, a fully present human being is rare and sacred. Many women have sex while their minds are planning the groceries. They feel their bodies being judged even by themselves. The body is there, but the soul has checked out. Jung believed this is a sign of disconnection from the archetype of the lover, the sacred lover that lives within every woman. When a woman is present, not performing, not hiding, not escaping, she doesn't just do intimacy, she becomes ritual. What is full presence? It's when you don't just touch with your hands, but with your soul. It's when every breath, every glance, every movement carries conscious life. In Tantra, this state is called Mathuna soul union through the body. In Jung's dictionary, it's the fusion of personal essence with cosmic energy. Presence is when you don't control the body, you let the body lead. You don't think, how do I look? You feel who you are. You don't perform, you become the altar. What if the most erotic thing about you was not your body, but your presence? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel for more sacred truths that wake the soul. In a world obsessed with the visible, the measurable, and the tangible, there exists another dimension, one even more powerful, forbidden imagination. Carl Jung called it active imagination. He believed it to be the portal into the unus mundus, the primordial world of archetypes, the birthplace of all emotions, images, and symbols. For a mature woman, erotic imagination is not just a sexual fantasy, it is a soul prayer, a divine act. Why is forbidden imagination so powerful? Because repression creates intensity. Each time you whisper, I shouldn't think like this, a mysterious circuit is activated in the shadowy layers of your psyche. Jung observed in patients' dreams, repressed content didn't fade. It returned with even more force when finally allowed to surface. Forbidden imagination lives in the liminal space between conscious and unconscious. It's where medicine resides. It's where raw creation begins. It's where the soul recharges. When you suppress it, you bind the energy of your inner world. And what the world receives is a muted, fragmented version of you. What did Jung say about imagination in Psychology and Alchemy? Jung wrote, fantasy is the workshop of the soul. He often referred to the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail symbol of eternity and rebirth, which appeared frequently in women's erotic dreams when they allowed the shadow to emerge. Imagination isn't a path to chaos. It's a submarine into the deep unconscious where you can retrieve forgotten soul symbols, Lilith, Kali, Persephone. And when you return from that inner journey, you're no longer seeking love. You become it. What are the desires you've hidden even from yourself? Let them breathe in the comments. And if you want to reclaim your whole self shadow, soul fire, subscribe to this sacred journey. If you're still here, still listening, it's no accident. Perhaps a part of you, a part long buried under the chaos of life, has just been awakened. A primordial memory older than any language, deeper than any belief has been stirred. You don't need to become the perfect woman. You don't need to follow any formula, prove anything, or win anyone's approval. You simply need to bravely walk back toward yourself. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And maybe, just maybe in the very darkness you once feared, once denied lies the most radiant source of light. In this journey, what was once labeled bad, wrong, unspoken, reveals itself as a gateway. Each sacred bad habit we've explored together is not a flaw, but a living expression of the rising feminine soul emerging from the collective unconscious. Maybe you've been silent for too long. Maybe you've shrunk yourself to fit molds that were never meant for you. But today you have permission to pause, to listen, to hear the voice from within. No need to fake strength. No need to pretend you're okay. No need to earn love. Because you already are a living, breathing symbol of the wild, untamed goddess. Remember Clara, the 59-year-old woman who spent half her life safe but lifeless. It only took one act of full presence with all her hunger, tenderness, and fire to unlock a realm without name. A place where the soul remembers its own name. If a part of you is awakening, speak to her below. Let her know she's not alone. Subscribe to keep walking this path together.